Okay. All right. Libertations, my friends. It is Saturday, March 26th. This is the Libertarian Party of Indiana State Central Committee meeting. The time is 10:41. Look at that, only 11 minutes late. So I call this meeting to order. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This is going to get fun here for a minute. The agenda is available on the website on the meeting link on the events calendar. Look at this for a minute. Go ahead, Madam Secretary, whenever you're ready, and call the roll if you would like to.
Okay. Sorry, let me open up my screen again so I can double check here. Oops. There we go. Oops. I have no idea what I just did. Go back to. Okay, sorry, I messed something up there. Hang on. There we go. Okay. Okay. Chair Evan.
Present.
Vice Chair Lucy.
Present.
Secretary Alyssa present. Treasurer Michael.
Present.
John Schick, District 1. Is he on? He's not on, is he? Absent. District 2, Elizabeth.
Present.
District 3, Avery.
Here.
District 4, Dennis.
Danny Lundy acting as proxy.
Okay. Yeah, I think you said that. Thanks. District 5, Greg.
Present.
District 6, Luke Lomax. Is Eddie the one that's acting as proxy for Luke?
Nope,
or...
I'm here.
Oh, Luke's here. It was Jay, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, Jay's the slacker today.
Got it. District 7, Kent. Yeah, not.
He's not here.
District 8, Jay.
Eddie Bain
Eddie
acting as proxy.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I had both my proxies written down. I just stumbled through that. District 9, Greg.
I'm here.
We have guests. I know Cassie's online.
Cassie's present.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I have the directors. I forgot the last roll call was without them because we hadn't appointed them yet. Hang on one second. Let me go back through.
And they are all voting members now.
Right.
Touchpoint has sent District 1 their Zoom link, so he might be jumping on.
Okay. Hang on, let me pull up the directors from last time. I apologize because that didn't copy over. And we have a new director. Well, not all, but give me 1 second here. I apologize. Got too many screens open too. All right. Our communications director, Michelle Holiday.
I am here.
Awesome. Our tech director, Chuck.
Present.
Our field director, Morgan.
Chuck.
Present.
Awesome. our political director, Chris.
First time.
Yay, we have a political
Here.
director. Fantastic. And I believe that's our directors. Did I miss anybody? Awesome. Thank you for your patience.
Hey, Dan,
Guests,
lost sound again.
we can hear you now, Greg, just fine, just FYI. Guests,
Yes, Cassie of Kosciuszko County.
Present.
And I have William Henry of Elkhart County. And James Siniak, our U.S. Senate candidate.
Present.
Oh, he is. Okay, awesome. And I believe is there anybody else?
Mr. Nolan's son's abs.
Oh.
You like him, don't you, Evan?
Okay, so roll call is complete. It looks like the only people we're missing are District 1 and District 7. That's John Schick for District 1 and Kent Williams for District 7. Going to the agenda.
Thank you.
Items on the agenda for today. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Increased the chair report by 5 minutes.
Again.
District reports.
Again.
Update on some of the 2022 election stuff. Handling of a temp chair. Updates on service Saturdays. The legal update. 60 minutes for the budget. Under new business newsletter 2023 convention. Can you mute yourself, Greg? Mr. Nolan?
I'm sorry.
Can you mute yourself?
I'm sorry.
And then announcements for 10 minutes and then adjourn. Put this meeting at 1:21 closing time, which would actually be now probably 1:31. Without objection, is there any additions or amendments to the agenda as presented?
I talked with Jay before this, and
It's
I
on there.
think okay, just want to make sure.
Yep, it's in there on the 2022 elections. Any other additions or amendments? Okay. Going to do a voice vote. All those in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Okay, that is the agenda. It is adopted. Appointment of timekeeper. I'm going to appoint Mr. Rigg as the timekeeper. Thank you for your service, Mr. Rigg. Okay, so chair's report for 15 minutes. And some of this stuff I'm just going to mention briefly because we're going to talk about them in other sections. I've been working with Andy Burns at the National Party. He's the head of the Civi CRM project for the National Party. We've been working very closely together. As a matter of fact, he just messaged me a little bit before this meeting started on his day off to confirm one of the things that we're working on, including creating a candidate access profile for the CRM so that candidates, and not necessarily the candidate, but a representative from their campaign will be able to access data, update information, log their campaign contributions, as well as volunteer hours, yard sign requests, and as we had already agreed in a previous meeting, we'll have 2 tiers for that. The candidate, what we're calling candidate basic and candidate advanced. Candidate basic won't be able to send emails through our system. Candidate advanced will be able to send emails, and they'll be charged 10 cents per 1,000 emails that they send. We've been working out a couple of bugs. We are one bug away from having it completed and ready to launch, which we believe will be done by Wednesday. So we've been putting in a lot of hours on that. I have either been dealing with Andy from National or the Indiana Election Division. And that's where like 90% of my time has been spent. There is no form for us to fill out to appoint a vacancy after our convention. The CAN 23 specifically says on it that it is only for candidates nominated at convention. And the section that me and Alyssa signed that has to be notarized specifically says at the top of it, under the penalties of perjury, I swear that the following candidate was nominated at the annual convention. We brought this to the election division's attention. The Republican side said, oh, yeah, we've normally just let you guys just fill out another form. But you're right, we probably should have a new form just for this, because Republicans and Democrats, they have their own form for their caucus meetings, which we do not. The language for that is very specific, and we would not be able to use that same form. He said, let's get a new form created. It'll take 2 to 3 weeks, because there is literally an agency in the state government that is responsible for creating all forms, and all forms must be created by that bureaucracy. And they even joked about it too. They think it's stupid. It was great. Everything was working along. And then the Democrat co-director stopped it, said she didn't feel the form was necessary, that since it only pertained to us, it wasn't necessary, and that it requires both of the co-directors, the Democrat and the Republican, to agree, and she doesn't. And so I talked to our legal counsel about it, and we've figured the way to go forward. If there are any problems with it, we have written documentation of the Democrat co-director refusing to create a new form, which is required under the law. So we're good, we're fine, but it's just another example of state bureaucracy and the partisanship of that specific office getting in the way of them actually being able to do the job that they're supposed to be doing. We'll be talking about this more as we move towards our deadline for filing, but it is a pain, and why this office should be state employees and not partisan employees, in my opinion. We've been doing the CRM training with National. National has asked us specifically to host the training. So it's Indiana people that we're training, and people from other states get to watch that training and learn how the best state in the country uses the CRM. It's been a good process so far. And I've agreed to continue doing it. It's every Thursday at 7 p.m. There is a sign-up process for it. You cannot register for it the day of. It needs to be at least 48 hours beforehand. And if it's not me doing it, it will eventually be Chuck doing it. So you'll have one of us doing that training. We're going to do a separate training just for the candidate access. And I think what we'll probably do is me and Danny Lundy will record a video on how to use that system, and then we'll just make that video available to the candidate access people. That way we don't have to do another group of one-on-one training sessions with people. Let's see. Michael Schultheis is working on getting a form set up so that county parties can submit their bank transfer information, so that people can get direct deposited. The counties can get direct deposits for their 1994 triple membership funds. I'll call on you in a minute, Mr. Schultheis. Right now, we have 199 triple members, and there are a few people who had some issues renewing They got caught in a weird cycle where they weren't able to renew, so I'm working with them. We should be at about 210 total triple members. And to put that in context, I was talking to Andy Burns yesterday about this. National has instituted the new, they're still calling it UMP, but they shouldn't call it UMP because there's some negative connotations with that. But the membership program that's similar to ours, but that is initiated by National, where you donate to National and then National sends the money to the state. Similar program to ours, but ours initiates with us and then we send the money to National because that's the way it should be. Of all of the states that are doing that, California is so far this year, California has raised about $9,000 through their program to National. We are in second place with, I think it was like $1,400. The next state, which is state number 3, was like $300. So again, Indiana is kicking ass. If we had the population that California had, you know, we'd probably be blowing them out of the water too. Mr. Schulteis, I yield for a question.
I do have the form available. What's the best way to get that to the county chairs? Should that go to the FTC list so the district people can disseminate that form?
Actually, if you send me the link, then I'll send out an email on Monday to all of the county chairs and county treasurers.
Okay, I'll send that to you.
Okay. So yeah, we've been working and growing, building the party up. I don't know, I'm going to jump the gun a little bit for Mr. Schulteis's report. Yesterday, I deposited another $5,000 check from one of the data companies. So that's 15 in on that project for the year that we've raised. And I've got probably another 2 more that we should be getting from within the next 60 days. So that's good. I do plan on, again, it's in the budget. I zeroed out the budget line for revenue for gaming because we put that in there last year and then we had 0 from gaming. But I would actually like to focus on gaming this year, at least a little bit, and find somebody that can run gaming events for us and plan them and work with our counties and our districts and our field director so that we can have more gaming events. We're just leaving money on the table by not doing them. But it shouldn't be something that I'm working on. I'd like to get a volunteer that we can task with just doing that. With candidates accessing the CRM, this is also available for local candidates. So any of your county parties, one, they need to make sure that they're updating the candidate information on our website. If they're not sure how to do that, they can reach out to Chuck, and Chuck or Chris Galt can help them do that. But once they're added in there, they need to appoint somebody who's going to be their, what we're calling data liaison, who will have access to the CRM. But we want to get this access and be able to use this for all of the different candidates. We've got the May 7th canvassing event in Morgan County. We want everybody that can to come down. And it's not just because we want to have a massive amount of people walking and door knocking that day. It's because we want to teach people, 1, how to door knock, and 2, how to use our system so that we're accurately using our data and recording our data so that we can have better follow-ups as we're moving along the campaign trail or campaign cycle. So that's most of what I've got right now. There's a legal update later, but I will say that the lawsuit was filed. So that's public information now, so we can talk about it publicly. We filed a lawsuit on March 17th against the state of Indiana, along with the Indiana Green Party and a couple of previous independent candidates, based off of ballot access restrictions, including signature gathering requirements, the fact that it's a paper signature when other states are moving towards electronic signature gathering, which are instant verification on those, which makes it a whole lot easier. As well as that, had the gubernatorial race been our ballot access race, we would have reached the 10% threshold, and we would have a Libertarian on the county election board in 33 counties. So we believe that using just one kind of mid-year, unsexy statewide race shouldn't be the metric to use to retain ballot access, that it should be any statewide race, which the courts have been very favorable to. So that's been filed. We don't expect a response from the state for 30 to 60 days, but it should move quickly because it's an election issue. So the court should go through it pretty quick. It was filed in federal court. I can't remember the judge's name, but he was a Trump appointee. Doesn't really matter. Judges, typically it does. I mean, that doesn't mean much who appointed them, but I'm just letting you know because that was in the press release. Any questions from anybody? All right, dope. Moving on to the vice or secretary.
I really don't have anything to add since the last meeting. Still working. I've got all of the, on all but a couple of the, I just need to upload everything. I just haven't done it, so I apologize, but I do have them. But they'll be up, I promise. I'm reviewing a lot of things too, just to make sure I didn't miss something, but it takes time.
Any questions for the secretary? All right, hearing none. Mr. Schultheis, the treasurer.
I do not have a formal report at this time, but I should be able to get the information out in the next few days. Apologies for the delay.
I believe we are right about 70,000 across all of our accounts, including the check that I deposited yesterday.
Yeah, last I checked, we were at 60 or 65. So with an additional 5, that should put us close to 70.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Schultheis? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Brenton, the vice chair, you have the floor for 5 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. You'll be happy to know that I won't take 5 minutes and it'll help us end the meeting a bit early. I don't have anything really new to report since our last meeting either, so I yield my time. Anybody have any questions for me?
All right. Thank you, Lucy. Appreciate it. Reports from directors. Start with Ms. Holliday for communications.
Okay. Hello. Right now in the communications department, we're in the initial process of creating our candidate campaign protocol, which of course will be very loose and will be accommodating everybody's personal campaigns. But overall, your overall picture, we will be, we're in the initial process actually. Danny coming along greatly with our first press kit for James. So the press kits are number 1. Then we will begin to schedule our fireside chat candidate interviews so that everybody that doesn't actually have an interview can have one to give out to media, to give out to people along the way with their campaigns. Attire, wearing our LPIN lapel pins. Most of our candidates are male, so we're hoping that when you make your appearances, you will wear your pin. Nice vests are really nice because you don't really want to be wearing a suit jacket a lot, but it makes for a nice formal look over your shirt and a nice place to pin your pin. One of the most important things that we're addressing is making every personal appearance turn into a media event. The way we do this is we create James, for instance, just went to the gun show in Fort Wayne. So the media event, the press release would be James giving a press release or a press conference to the media concerning the Second Amendment. And we can do that every time each of our candidates make a personal appearance. We always make it a press release, a press conference to every media outlet out there, making it real important also to cover the small media outlets, because many times you'll get a lot better coverage. Many times the big ones have so much going on that they sort of include you in a little blurb that you don't like. So, but you can sort of, really enhance yourself with the smaller ones. So we're in the process of that. Also every,
I just said time.
oh, time. Okay. Time.
Move to extend without objection for 2 minutes, because since everybody else blew through theirs pretty quickly, I'd like to give Michelle a chance to talk a little bit more.
Okay. Just a few more items. Also tons of pictures every time. Kristen is somebody who's great within James, and of course, Danny. He's got a great team starting to build. We have fantastic candidates. I've sort of researched everybody, really good. What I'd like to start to build is sort of a communications director archive in which every press release that's sent out, say by Kristen about James' event, would also be copied by me. We'd put it into the archive. She'd also, following the event, send some pictures. That way we can start to build, so we can go back, when James was here, when he in Allen County or whatnot. So then we build that one. But this is just things that are starting to build within the communications director's email. Okay. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Michelle. I will say, Michelle, there has been a personal request for you to attend events in Allen County. Just FYI, please attend their events. They would love to have you there and participating with the county party.
Your personal appearance is requested. Okay.
Madam Secretary, I would also like to have the record reflect that Kent Williams from the 7th District has joined the meeting. Moving on, District 2, Ms. Coquillard.
Oh, I forgot there wasn't a District 1 today.
We're still doing
So
directors, aren't we?
Yeah, you skipped a lot of people.
I did. I'm sorry.
okay,
Sorry,
yeah.
never mind. I take that back. No, Elizabeth.
That wasn't your fault, Liz. That was
That was me. It was me. Political director, Mr. Chris Gall.
Yeah. So I'm still working on adding all the candidates to the website. Chuck, I'm not sure if anyone else has filled out that form, but if they have, you can send that to me if you want me to add it on there. Been working on adding state party and county party events to the calendar on the website that candidates will be attending. So if your candidate's attending one of those kind of events, let me know. I know Danny's been letting me know, so I can get those added onto the calendar. Evan, I believe you sent an email, and Edgar's the last one to file his CFA 4. I talked to him today. He should be filling it out tonight for you and sending that over. And then I am still waiting on that spreadsheet from you to get started on the State House districts. So whenever you get that, I'll get started on that. Otherwise, if anybody has any questions for me.
I'd just like to take a moment to say to Mr. Galt, or on behalf of Mr. Galt, that he has been just working his butt off for me. He completes the tasks. He actually came up from Morgan County to Marion County to help 2 of the candidates fill out their paperwork and to make sure that it got into my hands on time so that I could file it, so that me and Alyssa and Greg could meet at the Antelope Club and get the paperwork notarized so that we could turn it in on time. So he's doing a great job, and I just want to commend you on that. I do also want to say that I just saw Mr. Jared Hall at the March 19th St. Patrick's Day event at the Morgan's or McGuire's compound, and he did express remorse that he wasn't able to do more as political director, but he was very happy that Chris Galt was stepping up and attending meetings. So I do want to thank Jared Hall for his previous service to the party. maybe not this last year, but in previous years. But good job, Chris. You're doing a great job. I've been impressed with the work that you're doing and how quickly you get things done. So thank you for that, especially in this cycle. We've got a lot of things that have to get done very, very quickly. Sometimes we hear one thing from the election division and then we find out the next day that that's not right when we challenge them on it. So thank you, Mr. Gall. Any questions for Mr. Gall? All right, hearing none, moving on to the next director, Mr. Rigg for field.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to ask for an extension of my time by 1 minute because I think that's how long it will take to go through the stuff I have to say.
Any objection to extending Mr. Morgan's time by 1 minute? Hearing none, go ahead, Mr. Rigg.
Thank you, Mr. Evan. For my report, I've got a few items to mention. Since our last SCC meeting, not counting after the convention, there was one volunteer who signed up as a volunteer for the LPIN. I did correspond with him and had the chance to speak to him in person in Goshen on February 20th, and he help out wherever he can. In regards to outreach, per your request, I did have a video call on February the 24th with Michelle McCutcheon, the activism coordinator for National. She brought up ideas for local outreach and onboarding volunteers. She also provided a couple manuals that the national staff prepared to assist in these efforts. And that's pretty much what we went over as far as the discussion goes. She made suggestions, a couple suggestions I remember writing down, including an idea of, like, say, setting volunteers up with a mentor, to kind of, keep that going for a while until, they're in, and so on. I've also sent those manuals and that information to the chair and also to Mr. Hagerman. If there are any questions that you guys have, or you want me any other additional items you want me to bring up with Michelle, I'll be more than happy to get a hold of her and we can continue talking about that. Then last, of course, on the item, there were conventions. There was one convention that I attended, local convention between our last meeting and the state convention, and that was in Elkhart County, which was held at the Goshen Library, also on the 26th of February. The event was well attended, but I will defer to Ms. Quillard, as she, of course, was the not only as the District 2 rep, but also as the chair of the convention. And then, of course, I will add, I also, on my own behalf, attended the Libertarian Party of Virginia convention earlier that month in Glen Allen, Virginia. I was one of 3 LPIN members who was there. And I would like to also take the opportunity to convey my deepest thanks to Greg Hirsch for making the reservations, and especially to Michael Schulteis for going above and beyond, driving 150 miles just to pick me up because of car problems that I had. So my deepest thanks to both guys for that. And then also I do have one last item that is not in the report, but it is a request I'd like to make of the district reps. Stephanie Dasbach is managing Jeff Moore's campaign for Secretary of State. She is looking for information on events between now and the November election. And I'd like to ask all the district reps who are here if you could provide all the information you can find as far as events going on, like contact people, the dates, the schedules, other general information. If you could pass it on to me, I can then forward that to Stephanie. And by extension, I can also do that to the other statewide campaigns, including, of course, James's Senate campaign, and also to John Schick and his campaign for state auditor. And that's all I have to say.
I would like to get an update on your organizing convention for DeKalb County, and to say that I am available tonight if we want to have that rescheduled meeting this evening.
Okay. Initially, I was going to defer that to Miss Avery as the District 3 rep, but
you can do that. It's fine.
Okay. That'd be fine.
Mr. Galt has a question.
Okay.
Just a statement more. If you're a district rep like Christy or Danny has also been sending me events for James and other candidates. Those have already been forwarded to Stephanie. So just anybody else or any new events, yeah, send those over. But if you've already sent them to me, they've already been moved to her.
Okay. All right. Much thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
I would actually say that it would probably be, so we're not double and triple doing everything, go ahead and send them directly to Chris Galt. And then he'll send everything over to Stephanie.
Okay.
I can make sure you're added to Morgan if you'd like.
Yeah, just like as like a CC.
Yeah.
That would be fine. That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Refresh our memory on what your email is there, Morgan.
It is supposed to be field@lpin.org, or at least it was. I think it's now supposed to be field@lpin.vote.
Yeah, Mr. Schulteis will have that finished by the end of this weekend. Mr. Schulteis.
Yes, other than Mr. Galt, the .vote addresses are not yet set up, but I can work on that later this weekend.
Okay, so by Monday morning, all directors will have a .vote email address. So tech@lpin.vote, comms@lpin.vote, political@lpin.vote, and field@lpin.vote. Their other email addresses aren't going away. So if somebody emails their .org, it will forward to them. But this is part of the switching over to the paid version of the G Suite. We're only keeping officers and district reps within that email system for the .org. So they'll be moving to the .vote.
Is that still true for my email too?
Yes, yours was previously political director at lpin.org, and that should be forwarding to political@lpin.vote.
Okay.
Okay. Michelle?
Hi there. Hey, Chris, could you please add comms to that list too, whenever you send it out? COMMS@lpin.org. Soon to be vote. I'm not sure if mine will switch to or not. But
Yes, well, all directors will switch to .vote.
I'll make sure just to put all the directors on those communications because I already have been putting Chuck on them.
Okay. Excellent.
Quick question.
Yes, Mr. Lomax.
Are we going to be putting the new director emails on the SCC distribution list? So if I have an event that is in multiple districts or something like that, or if I want to invite multiple districts to an event that we're holding, can I still send that out to the SCC distribution list and it will include everybody needed?
I don't think the new one, I know the .vote emails aren't currently on the SCC. And I think you mean like the listserv, like scc@lpin.org. Yeah, I don't think all of the directors are on there, and I don't think the .vote are on there, but Michael Schulteis will have that finished by this weekend. Mr. Schulteis?
Yes, the .vote addresses are not currently on the SCC list, but they will be by the end of the weekend.
Whether he wants them to or not. Okay, moving on to, Mr. Schulteis?
That was what I was doing, so I may have accidentally re-raised my hand.
Okay. Tech Director, Mr. Hagerman.
All right, so I'm the wild apricot donations are ongoing. I've been trying to promote the new candidate form. We've actually just got a few people using that. I'll get with Chris to see if he has access, and then two, set up email. So I got an email telling me that people had filled it out. That's how I knew. I've been working with Christy Avery to set up a contribution page for District 3. She sent me the form that I need to use. So we're near the end of that process for District 3. I've been attending the training, as Evan said, for the initial Civi access to be able to run that in the future if necessary, mostly to ensure that that I have the same high quality and smugness that Evan brings to that training. And then
that's right.
and then along with Chris Galt, we were trained on creating the candidate profiles, and Chris has been very busy setting those up. I haven't really had to do any, but I have been able to assist him. We've run into a couple issues that fortunately I knew how to solve. So that's working very smoothly, and that is the end of my report. Are there any questions?
The candidate form you're working for, is this a candidate form for people to come out and see our candidates, or is it a candidate form for us to determine whether we're going to elect them to an office?
It's for people that are
already been nominated. This
Yeah.
is for us to gather the information to put them into the CRM system and get them on the front page of the website.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Hagerman? Okay, hearing none. Also do want to put the bee in the bonnet for Chris Galt, Chuck Hagerman, and Danny Lundy. I am still waiting on Danny Lundy to pick a day for the data team meeting. So reminder of that. The three of you we talked about it in your car. I mean, you did have a couple of bourbons, but we did talk about it.
It's not in an email. It didn't happen.
It happened. I record everything. I'll play the call for you later. But so that's something that we do need to get on the schedule, is the data team meetings. And I want Chris to be part of it as the political director, because he'll be the go-between between the candidates and the data team. All right, moving on to district reports. District 1 is not here. District 2, Ms. Coquillard. This time it actually is true.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, great. Let me grab my notes here. District 2 has not too much going on currently, but I do have some updates. The trucker convoy event that we collected supplies for within our district in Kosciuszko County, that gave us a few connections within the trucker convoy, and they've been keeping us up to date, and they are actually doing a Midwest State House tour, and they will be at the Indianapolis or Indiana State House April 1st and 2nd. There will be 2 rallies. If anybody wants to attend, they invited all of our candidates out to speak. Let me think here. Our district has been working on organization. We plan to have every event for the entire year on a schedule for the entire district by Wednesday. I suggest that every district do this, as it, like we were talking about earlier, it gives the candidates a chance to schedule in those events and maximize our events. So I will have that. We are using the app Basecamp to facilitate this. Also, Elkhart County had their business meeting on Thursday. We did a Enneagram personality test to see how to work efficiently with each other and our own personalities. I highly suggest that you guys do this on the county level. And we should probably do it on the SCC level too. It's very, very helpful. I, for one, am a type 2, wing 3. And you look that up, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's definitely her. But anyway, it's a great tool to just get to know your members and to know how best to use them. And then lastly, I just want to remind everybody that we need volunteers for the state fair. I'm going to haggle you guys until I have a full list. So we have plenty of time. So look at the dates, see when you're available. We need to have people for the entire, 2 weeks. So just get a hold of me if you want to volunteer for the booth. And if you want to bring your candidates or whatnot, just let me know. And that's all I have.
I will just piggyback off that real quick for a minute, Ms. Coquillard, and say that I did get in contact with the state fair, and they do consider us now a new vendor because it's been too long since we last attended.
Oh no.
So it's kind of it. They did tell me though, there aren't a lot of vendors signing up. They're because it's fewer days and there just aren't as many. A lot of those companies that went out of business. Generations of Saudi Bobby and popcorn vendors and things like that basically had 2 years of no county or state fairs anywhere in the country. And so a lot of them went under. So unfortunately for them, fortunately for us, it means that there will be a smaller pool for us to be able to get from. But I am keeping an update on it. I'm keeping an eye on it. And as soon as the date opens up for us to be able to apply, we're going to be in. Any other questions for Ms. Coquillard?
Is there a sign-up sheet somewhere that I want to help, so.
I'm going to have, I'm going to get it up electronically. I just haven't figured that out yet. Lori sent me something to use for scheduling. I'm not good at organization. I personally like a paper and pen. I have a sign up sheet on my bulletin board at my house, so I will totally write you in.
Okay.
And when you get that set up, the electronic version, can you please forward that to the entire SCC?
Yes.
So that then each district rep can forward it out to their county chairs. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
will do.
Mr. Morgan had a question, or were you just saying time?
I was just gonna mention that in reference to Liz, the electronic, you just actually sent in the website in the chat that I believe Lori suggested, signup.com. You could go there and get that done.
Okay. Was that what you were going to say, Mr. Lundy?
Correct. It's a very useful tool. Everybody should use it for their events. You can schedule shifts and everything and see who all signed up and print it out. It's great.
Excellent. Okay, moving on to District 3, Miss Avery.
There we go. All right. I lost my train of thought. We had a great event at a gun and knife show, and James came out 2 days, 11 to 2 both days. I think he engaged with a lot of people. Eric Allen from Morgan County. We weren't quite able to convince him to move to Allen County, but we're still working on it. He's a great asset. So kudos to Danny Lundy for that. And Cassie came out and we graciously allowed her to sell t-shirts at our table. So that was fun. She absolutely did bring the trophy with her and did not like any of the pictures I took with her, but whatever. I can't help it that your face looks weird. Sorry. On Tuesday, we, God willing, will have an organizing convention for DeKalb County. So I'm looking forward to that, getting Morgan up and going. And there's something else. Oh, the account that we're setting up with Chuck that he mentioned earlier, it's actually just for Allen County because we don't have an organized committee for District 3 like District 8 does. So we're going to try that out. Hopefully that'll be online soon, and I will encourage all of you to test out to make sure it's working by making a small donation. I made a donation to District 8 just to see how it worked and get an idea of the message that I got back from it. It's pretty easy, but it's kind of difficult to find it on our website. But once you know where it's at, then you know where it's at. I can't think of anything else. I've sent some future events off to the various campaigns. So we're looking forward to a summer of good events. We're looking to get back into the Pride Fest here in Fort Wayne. I worked that, I don't remember if Evan was there, he probably was, with Rupert back in 2012, and that was a great event. So we're looking forward to doing that again and getting more active and maybe even having some candidates. Woo! Any questions? No, let's move on.
I had it in my notes to correct Mr. Hagerman because you have to have a committee to be able to set up a contribution page. And I figured it was probably just for Allen County. Mr. Schulteis.
Hamilton County is interested in also setting up a page. Are we ready to expand this, or is it still in the testing phase?
Yes.
That's a two-part question.
Yeah, I'll help anyone that's
you
wanting.
have my answer, sir. You have my answer. We are ready to expand it, but it's also still in the testing phase. But get with Chuck Hagerman on that, and he'll walk you through the steps of what you need to do to get that done. Any questions for Ms. Avery? Okay, hearing none. District 4, Mr. Lundy as a proxy for Mr. Beatty.
All right. Tippecanoe County in April 18th, we'll be having a tax day protest all day. from about 8 to 5, I assume at their courthouse, I believe, if I remember correctly. Double checking. Anyway, so yeah, they'll be having that all day, so people can come, bring signs, regular protest kind of deals, standard tax day stuff. Hopefully we'll have some candidates there as well. The next thing coming up would be May 7th, the Get Out the Vote event in Morgan County. And then I know Hendricks County is very excited about getting some tabling events scheduled. I don't know that they've done that yet. I couldn't make it to their last meeting, but I know they are motivated and looking forward to actually getting out and talking to some voters this year. Kristen Alexander's campaign has been going like gangbusters in Morgan County. I know Tippecanoe County is planning to do some door knocking very soon up in Tippecanoe, so we should work on getting a canvasser up for them. And I think that's all I know about right now.
Any questions for Mr. Lundy about the 4th district? Okay, hearing none, moving on to the 5th district, Mr. Nolan.
Well, greetings from the Washington, D.C. capital area. Vacation this week. And we've met in Madison County with a couple prospects for office. The Republicans chairman threw off a nice lady from Madison County that was wanting to run for sheriff. And we've met with her, and we're going to see about getting her on get her as a rebound into the Libertarian Party. And we're working on an assessor. I might add that assessor, there might not in many counties be many people that are running for assessors, because there's a course requirement that you have to take in order to be a county assessor. I don't think it's too bad. It's a 6-hour course and a small test, I think, afterwards. But an opportunity to pick up an office that may not be well run against for whatever information that'll be. The Hamilton County and the Grant County chair sent some emails back and forth about our Super Saturday, and I haven't got involved in that. So that's all I've got for report right now.
Any questions for Mr. Nolan? Okay, hearing none, moving on to District 6, Mr. Lomax.
Nothing really new to report. Got some plans that are in the works right now as far as Chamber of Commerce meetings and things like that, but I'll have to get you guys updated on that when they actually get solidified. But I will yield the rest of my time.
Any questions for Mr. Lomax? Okay, hearing none, moving on to District 7, Mr. Williams.
Thanks, Evan. So we had our first meeting since the convention on the 7th of March, where we discussed our goals for the year. Some of our goals including converting and reclaiming past members who have lapsed. We went from having 50 some odd members to technically on the rolls still, but we aren't getting the numbers that we used to have, and we're working on rebuilding. We'd like to have a gambling event this year. We have some money in our gambling account. We were just working on the gaming license, and so we've got a couple of candidates running. Edgar Amaro, as you mentioned, who should be getting his paperwork completed today for 97th District, State House District, and then Gavin Maple for U.S. House of Representatives for our district. We've got some events coming up. April 1st in the evening, there's a First Friday at the Industrial Arts Complex. It's just a little meet and greet where we might be able to discuss with some local business owners what they're seeing in the government and what they like and don't like. And then our next business meeting is the 4th. We're wanting to host a social event toward the end of the month on April. And then we're going to be attending the training on May 7th in Morgan County. In early June, June 3rd through the 5th, there's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. Then there's Indy Pride, June 11th. The county fair from June 24th through July 3rd. And then the state fair, July 29th through August 21st. And finally, the Irvington Halloween Festival, October 29th. So we're looking for any volunteers in the area that would be interested in attending, manning booths at any of these events. Yeah, especially the county fair. That's a big one. There's a county and state fair. That's a lot of days. So we're hoping that mostly the candidates running can accumulate a lot of the volunteers for those things.
Time.
Any questions?
I will say, Mr. Williams, please forward all of that information to Mr. Galt
Will do.
on the events. We really want to get these events created into our calendar system. There's also, we can attach, if you have something like signup.com or Signup Genius, we can include that link. We can also send out emails to your area asking for people to sign up as volunteers, but we need that information first.
Mm-hmm.
So please get all that information to Mr. Galt and to Mr. Rigg.
Will do.
Moving on, District 8, Mr. Bohm proxying for Mr. Solomon.
Yes, I really don't have much to say. We had the Ireland, Indiana, St. Patrick's Day parade here in Du Bois County a couple weeks ago. Pretty good. Got out Andrew Horning's name. Otherwise, I really don't have much to say for Jay.
I will say that Jay, Mr. Solomon is out right now with Miss Jada Burton, who is the candidate for State House District 77. They are across the river in Kentucky attending a candidate training hosted by, I believe, YAL is who I think is doing it. So that was why he couldn't be here today, is because he's working with his candidate to get her some extra training. So thank you, Mr. Solomon, for doing that with your local candidate. Any questions for Mr. Bohm about District 8? Okay, hearing none. District 9, Mr. Hirsch.
Okay, Tanya Millis, update on her campaign. She had a Zoom meeting on Monday, March 21st with the Citizens Climate Lobby to discuss climate change. She has another Zoom meeting for March 30th with the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition. She's going to discuss foreign affairs and foreign policy. She is planning on having an event for her campaign at her house on Saturday, May 14th. I'll get more information on that out as well as other events. She also has a brand new yard signs and new business cards made up. And she sent copies of the artwork for both of those for us to take a look at. So things are moving along with her campaign. Now, Tommy Brown, who's running for county commissioner in Washington County, he is going to appear on the Normal Indiana Angel Common Director from Indiana and Normal. He's going to be on their podcast, Canada's Times, on April 5th at 7:00 p.m. Lawrence County is planning on doing that Liberty Fest event again on June 18th in Bedford. One more thing here. Ronald Holford from Jefferson County. Originally, he was going to run for state house at the convention. He decided to change it at the time to state senate. Now he's decided to change it again. He's just going to run for local county council this year in Madison, Indiana, in Jefferson County.
I will say I talked to Mr. Hoferkamp about that, and basically his reasoning was his is the only county that's affiliated in his entire district, and his county literally just became affiliated at our last SCC meeting, and he feels like it's just him on his campaign right now, and that may be biting off more than he can chew. I said, you may be right about that. That's perfectly fine. He also has found out a couple of issues with the county council shutting down local businesses. And he's wanting to take that issue on head first. So I think it probably is a better fit for him right now.
I totally agree. And I told him so. But yes, that's the best move for him right now.
Yep.
And also, the reason why he stepped away from running for state house was because the incumbent, Zach Payne, is what's called a Liberty Republican. He's kind of like Thomas Massey and Ron Paul, and he didn't really want to run against him. In fact, Zach Payne has been to several of our meetups. locally over the years.
I understand that, and Mr. Payne has been very friendly to us. He's
So you
reached
know
out
him,
to
then,
me-
okay.
Yeah, he's reached out to me directly to offer assistance on, specifically election matters, things like that, because he serves on the election committee in the House. But like I told Kurt Nisley, who is also a friend of ours, we're friends, but we still got to run our own people because, well, we agree with you on some things, we disagree with you on a number of other things. But don't take it personal, and still being friendly in that regard. So I'm not worried about running somebody against Mr. Payne. He's not worried about it either. He understands it and respects it. But at this time, we don't have anybody to run against him.
I also should add that Eric Schonsberg, who's still a member of the Libertarian Party of Indiana, he's seeking the Republican nomination for a U.S. House. He's running in the primary. He's seeking people to make phone calls for him. I'm not encouraging the Libertarian Party members to do that. I think that'd be a job for Young Americans for Liberty, But I was told they don't do federal candidates; they only do state candidates. I said, well, that sounds like a personal problem. If y'all had it together, then
I wouldn't encourage anybody to support Mr. Schonsberg's campaign because we have a great candidate running in that race.
Yes,
Tanya Millis.
Absolutely.
I will pick Tanya Millis every day and twice on Sunday. She's great. She's perfect. She's awesome. Mr. Schonsberg has been a party member for many years. I think his membership may have actually lapsed this year, but he's also not been a great policy libertarian is the best way that I can say that. I think Tanya Millis is amazing. She's going to do an amazing job. And so my support is 100% behind Tanya. Mr. Galt.
Yeah, Greg, is that May 14th event? Is that just a campaign event or is it also a county party event?
It's just a campaign event.
Okay. And then do you know when her next campaign meeting is?
I will find out.
Thank you. I would like to attend that.
Okay.
I would say that Mr. Galt, that May 14th event, since it's at her house, is probably not going to be a public event. Just FYI. So we may not put that on the calendar.
Yep.
Any questions for Mr. Hirsch? Okay, hearing none. Moving on to 2022 elections. The very first thing that I'd like to do is Miss Jada Burton from the 8th District, specifically in House District 77, she was nominated for House District 78. There were two different Find My District portals up at the time, and it had her listed as District 78, which is funny because she's never been in District 78. She was in District 77 under the old maps, but she was monitoring her opponent very closely, and when he put up the map of the new district, she noticed she still wasn't in it. And so we looked up the actual statute for the changes to the district maps, and we did confirm that she is still in District 77. So she has filed her CAN 24 withdrawal form to withdraw as the candidate from District 78, and has provided me all of the, and I already have it in hand, all of the paperwork to be nominated for District 77. So Mr. Bohm, if you don't mind, I will make the motion. I would like to move to, or I would accept a motion from someone to nominate Jada Burton for House District 77.
So moved.
I'll take the movement from Mr. Galt. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Bohm. This does need to be a roll call vote for a candidate nomination. So, Madam Secretary, when you are ready, please give the roll.
Yeah, 1 second. Can you tell me the corrected district again for Jada?
77.
77. She was like in 78. Is that
Correct.
what we had to, yeah, okay. Give me a second to make sure I get that recorded properly, and then I'll go through roll call.
And I'll tell you, Jay Solomon was on it. We communicated back and forth through all of this processes, and he had mailed to me the withdrawal form. That way I could file it in person to make sure it was done correctly. They got all of their additional paperwork to me today, or not today. I think I got it Wednesday. All of the new paperwork. And, you know, he understands that it's going to be a few days because we're waiting for Mr. Nolan, who now that he is retired is not in a big hurry to come home. But we are waiting on Mr. Nolan to return so that we can notarize and file those forms. And as you can see, as he's sitting there comfortably in his studio, in his bathrobe, he is in no hurry to come back to Indiana.
The nation's capital needs me here, you know. I should have them straightened out by end of the week.
Bathrobe negotiations.
Hey, while you're out there, can you go ahead and start shopping for office space for James?
There you go. Yeah. Well, so he doesn't need a DC office because he'll have the DC office probably in like the Hart building, but he'll need an office back here in Indiana. You have a district office, and then you have your actual Senate chambers office. And if you've ever been to, I think they always start in the Hart building, is where freshman senators go. If you go there, it is the office you get is in the basement, which everybody thinks is horrible. However, the tunnel, the tube to get to the Capitol building is also in the basement. And you don't have to deal with the elevators or anything else. You just step out your door, walk down the hallway, and now you're in the tube to get to the Capitol building.
Oh, how awesome. Just an awesome experience, you know what I mean?
I would throw in money to pay for Mr. Siniak to take a trip to DC to go visit the Hart building and to go see like take a tape measure and start measuring the door and the outside poster areas outside of Todd Young's office down to the basement of the Hart building.
Great. I will look for that donation, Evan, and we'll get that done.
I said I would help donate to it, not fund it.
No, I heard
money towards it.
We also need a red swing line stapler to put down there.
Yeah, check the minutes.
Are you ready?
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Evan.
Come back to me.
Okay. Vice Chair Lucy.
Yes.
Secretary, that's me. Yes, hang on. User error. Treasurer Michael.
Yes.
I think she froze. Did you freeze?
Did I freeze?
No.
Are we on me now?
Hold on. Alyssa, the last thing that I heard you do was treasurer.
Okay. Sorry, I'm having internet issues. Let's go back. Hang on, where was I? Okay, communications. I was at Michael. Did Michael? But Michael's not responding, so I'll come back to him.
Yes. I said yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, internet. It keeps freezing up. You're right. After this, if you'll excuse me, after this, I'll have my husband restart the router and firewall and all that goodness. Yes. Okay. Communications Director Michelle, did I get you?
Not yet, but I say yes.
Awesome. Tech Director Chuck.
Yes.
Field Director Morgan.
Yes.
Political Director Chris.
Yeah.
John Schick is absent. District 2, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Hang on, let me scroll down. Okay, District 3, Christie.
Yes.
District 4, Danny Lundy as proxy.
Aye.
District 5, Greg Noland.
Double yes.
District 6, Luke.
That'll be an affirmative.
District 7, Kent.
Yes.
District 8, Eddie as proxy.
Yes.
And District 9, Greg Hirsch.
Yes.
I will go ahead and vote yes, so it's unanimous.
Okay. There we go.
And wait.
Chris, you're not muted.
That wasn't Chris. It was Michael. Chris is muted when he puts his microphone up. It automatically mutes him. It was Michael, and I muted him. Okay, so that you're ready for me to move on, Alyssa? Okay, perfect. Again, with 2022 elections, just need to make sure that if you are a county party and you recessed your convention, then when you're filing your CAN 22s for your candidates, and if you're unsure about the other paperwork that you need, please get with Chris Galt. He's trained or will be trained on exactly the paperwork you need for your local candidates. But your CAN 22, the date of the convention is the date that you reopened the convention, is the date of their nomination. If by chance your county party did not recess their convention or didn't do it correctly, please get with Chris Galt so that he can tell you the long, arduous process that you will go through to fill that seat. But please message Chris, don't message me. Any questions about the 2022 elections? I will also state that me and Chris are sitting down to start recruiting candidates for the rest of the ballot vacancies. I did file the ballot vacancy notification with the election division, which was fun. But so that's been filed. If we do have something that pops up from the county party or a prosecutor candidate, we can refile a notice for that specific candidate. I just need to know 15 days in advance before our next meeting, so we can file that notification. Any questions about the elections? Okay, hearing none, moving on to the next subject, temp chairs. We automatically expire the temp chairs when they serve for 1 year. So those have automatically taken place. They have not necessarily been reflected in the CRM, but no one who is a temp chair that was expired has CRM access. They may just be listed as the current temp chair in the CRM. With that being said, Mr. Elizabeth, is it Tim or Tom?
Tim Cotton.
Tim Cotton. I always want to say Tom Cotton because of Senator Tom Cotton. Mr. Tim Cotton, who is a member in St. Joe County, has been reaching out to both St. Joseph. St. Joe. That's what I said.
St. Joseph.
St. Joe has been reaching out to both Elizabeth Coquillard and Cassie Roland to talk about wanting to take over and to get things going. He's already got a couple people interested. There actually are quite a few members and contacts in St. Joe County. And so, you know, it should move smoothly once it gets up and running. I'd like to thank Mr. Eric Harris, who was the previous temporary chair. His term expired in December because he was one of the ones that we actually put together in that group back in December of 2020. So his temp chair status actually expired in December technically. But so I want to thank you for the work that he put in trying to get that accomplished. It just didn't work out. We hope he'll be active and continue to help moving that county party forward. But with that, I believe Ms. Coquillard would like to nominate Mr. Tim Cotton to be the temporary chair.
Yes, I would like to nominate Tim Cotton as temporary chair. I was able to sit down with him and discuss, you know, if he had the time, if he, you know, had the commitment, and he definitely does. He's staunchly libertarian, and he's very professional. I think he's going to do a great job. Like you said, there are some, I think there's about 8 active members, dues-paying members in St. Joseph County. And I also, this last week, was contacted about a mayoral candidate for South Bend. So, and I got in contact with Lauren Grinstaff McKinnon, and she has all the table stuff for St. Joseph County still. So they're going to be off to a good start once they get up and going. So I fully support it.
So that motion was moved by Ms. Coquillard to appoint Mr. Tim Cotton, the temporary chair of St. Joseph County. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Nolan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. And I will say Mr. Cotton has actually emailed me a couple of times as well. And so I'll email him tonight to let him know. We'll get him scheduled into the CRM training for next week, which I had actually, I believe Elizabeth or Cassie had already told him that we would get him wired in for that right away. He's very eager to get started. So we'll get him connected to the next CRM training so that he can start communicating with the locals in St. Joseph County. So congratulations, Mr. Cotton. We have no other pending temporary chairs that were automatically removed that have requested to remain. So I think we'll clear those out of the CRM and put those back in as empty seats for now. We do have a couple other counties that are not in the window of automatic removal that are still working. So that's good to hear. Technically speaking, Mr. Riggs' appointment technically expired because it's been over a year.
Uh-oh.
Quiet.
I would accept a motion to recommit Mr. Rigg as the DeKalb County temporary chair.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Coquillard. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Lundy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed say nay. Okay, perfect. Congratulations, Mr. Rigg. We look forward to your organizing convention on Tuesday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Service Saturdays, which is now what we are calling, we've changed the name for Super Saturdays. It just struck me one day. I was sitting here and I thought, you know, Super Saturdays, it's confusing. People just think it's an event, and really it's all about, you know, being of service to your community and being a not necessarily a public example of what libertarianism means. And so it just struck me. So I think maybe we should change it. Actually, it was Danny Lundy. Danny Lundy said it in our leadership meeting, our monthly leadership call, which I do encourage everybody here to attend and to get your county chairs to attend. It's the second Monday of every month. You know, it's a great time for us to get together, to bounce ideas off of each other, hear what's working in some counties, hear maybe what's not working, get ideas for how we can change things up a little bit, support each other's projects, and steal ideas from Morgan County. So thank you, Danny, for that. But yeah, Service Saturdays instead of Super Saturdays moving forward. I actually misplaced all of my notes from the post LNC or the post-convention meeting, which is why I haven't updated the website for the SCC meeting events, is because I can't find my notes anywhere. So I think the next event was it Hamilton County for April?
April was District 1.
District
I
1,
believe.
okay. Okay. And I think that was Porter County was the one that was organizing for District 1. But I'll connect back with them. I know that the 5th district, Mr. Clayton and Ms. Schillings, and I think Alyssa, you were included on that for Boone County, have gone back and forth on a couple ideas. I think they landed on one, which was helping repair the baseball diamond for a local private Christian school. I think that was the decision. But I'm not 100% sure, but it was, whatever it was a good idea at the time. So hopefully that's what we're going to do. Ms. Coquillard.
I just wanted to say that Indiana is definitely influencing other states. I know of 2 states that are stealing our Service Saturday idea and running with it. So it's just, it just means we're doing things right here in Indiana. Also, in my district, I turned our Service Saturday into a contest because it's a benefit to have it in your county. So the best idea wins the Service Saturday. So we will have ours planned by Wednesday as well on our calendar. But I suggest you guys make it a friendly competition.
Excellent. That's a good idea. What kind of prize are you offering other than just they get to host it? What else are you doing?
Prize is a Super Saturday or Service Saturday. I can't think of a better prize than that. Having volunteers and that kind of event in your community. So I hope Elkhart County wins.
There you go, Mr. Lundy.
District 1 is Lake County Service Saturday. It's April 9th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The event will consist of a roadside cleanup of a stretch of the Libertarian Party of Lake County's Adopt a Highway along US 231 in Crown Point. They're meeting at Hillside Community Church, which is 5201 West 109th Avenue in Crown Point.
Where is this posted anywhere?
I'm not sure. I just knew that I had it on my calendar, so I pulled it up real quick.
Is it possible? Could you, if you have it handy, can you just forward it to Chris Galt?
Will do.
And Morgan Rigg.
Is James attending that event?
Is James still on the call? I believe he's planning on it.
I am. I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know if Jeff Maurer will be fully ready by the 9th to start going out to events. I think they're going to start that following week. Okay, perfect. Any questions about Service Saturdays? Excellent. Legal update again. I kind of mentioned it in my chair's report. The lawsuit was filed on March 17th. I was holding off on, we had sent out a press release the same day. Both the LPIN and the legal team that filed the lawsuit. We both filed or sent out press releases the same day. Ours was more from the Libertarian perspective. Theirs is more from a generalized ballot access restrictions suck type of thing. I was waiting to see if ours got picked up before I was going to start sharing it places. And then Christy and a couple other people, I think Kent Williams, some other people saw it posted by Yahoo and the Indy Star, and they shared it, let the cat out of the bag. And then it turned out no one picked up our press release. So I don't know if it was, they were just, an hour earlier than us or what. But yeah, ours didn't get picked up at all. Only the one that the legal team sent out got shared. But so that's where we're at. It's filed. It will probably be expedited because it's an election matter and it does pertain to this election cycle. So it'll probably be expedited by the court, but I believe they have the state has an automatic 30 days to respond. They can ask for an extension of another 30 days, which they will be granted if they ask, and they will likely ask. So we don't anticipate a response for the first 60 days. So this is the public stuff that I can talk about. There will be times where there are things that the lawyer has shared, the legal team has shared information that I need to report back to you. Those will need to be done in executive session. Whether any candidate or campaign wants to comment on the lawsuit is completely up to them. Again, it's your prerogative if you want to or not as a candidate. But I would recommend following the talking points that we put out and not getting yourself, not putting your foot in your mouth. Michelle.
What are the pros and cons in your opinion of a candidate commentating on that lawsuit?
No one cares.
Okay.
Like legitimately, the average public does not care one red cent about ballot access. It doesn't matter to them.
What are the top bullet points to that, Evan? Like the top three of
ballot access? Basically, the major parties pick and choose who can challenge them, and they set the rules up so that only they are protected under election law. It prevents dissenting voices. It prevents minority voices from having even a place at the table. It prevents us from being able to support local candidates because we have to put all of our resources into our Secretary of State race. So the most winnable races for us get ignored because we have to focus on the SOS race because it's so important, while Republicans and Democrats don't have to do anything.
And that's for every party, right?
Yep.
Outside of
Yep.
Republicans and Democrats.
And this is true in almost all 50 states.
It's a very interesting topic. It really is. I just wanted to get your take on pros and cons because it is an ongoing lawsuit. Do they want to take sides? Do they want to have an appearance out? But it's very important American topic, actually.
For most of the candidates, honestly, it's not relevant to what they're doing, and they should probably spend their time talking about their local issues.
What about someone like James? What would you say about James or Jeff?
So the state controls their own election process, and it's one of those things that there's two schools of thought. Should the federal government be equalizing elections, excuse me, or should it remain something that is controlled strictly by the state? There are arguments both for and against on those. Excuse me. But it's perfectly reasonable for James Siniak to comment about the election process and what is the role of the federal government versus the rights of the state. If you live in Indiana and you move to Ohio, your rights to vote can differ without anything changing about you. You just crossed a border within the United States, and now your ability to vote may be slightly different.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to go through that. It's very interesting whether a political candidate actually comments on it or not, but for Indiana citizens to know. So it might very well be a really good topic for a newsletter or whatnot. But thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Any other questions about the legal update before I choke to death?
I choked you. Sorry about
that. We've been going for a little bit here before we get to the budget item, which is the largest thing. Is there any objection to taking a 10-minute break? Nope. Okay, perfect. Do remember, everybody, that the recording is still going and the live broadcast is still going. So be careful what you say and do during this 10-minute break. We are at recess for 10 minutes. We will come back at 12:20 p.m. Eastern time.
Is there a place I can see the budget?
Yes, it was emailed. The link was emailed to you. It was in the same thing that had the link to the meeting. It's actually right below the agenda item.
Okay.
I actually got it twice.
Good for you.
Just sold my firstborn for some gas.
So I was in Florida, and it's only $3.79 a gallon down there. Something to do with pipelines in the Gulf. You know, they got oil rigs that they're offshore, and they have oil available down there because they actually produce their own. Kind of a cool concept. I'm wondering if that might be, you know, adopted nationally or something at some point.
I think everybody should just afford electric cars.
Well, I mean, if gas prices keep going up, the monthly payment I'm paying for gas is going to be about the same as what I would pay for an electric car. So, I mean, you know, I think that might be what their goal is.
Oh, it for sure is. I mean, you know, fuck poor people.
Yeah. Did you
Wind up
did
your
you-
lentils and put them in the gas tank. You'll be fine.
did everybody see Danny's post about the state and federal taxes on there? Because I when I figured it up, I think it was a total of like 78 cents per gallon if gas is $4 a gallon because of the 7% sales tax on each dollar. So that's 78 cents per gallon of gas that we're giving back to the government. That is also causing the inflation that's supposedly causing the gas increases. It seems like we're getting screwed there somewhere. I'm not real sure how it all works out. Hopefully they're using it to pay down the national deficit, but I seriously doubt
Yeah, but it's really interesting. You know, at least it's really pissing people off. You know, you got to piss people off to get change. Maybe this will, you know, lead to, you know, the elimination of the gas tax. Fingers crossed. But and it's really hilarious how the Democrats in Indiana are for getting rid of the gas tax, and now Republicans are the ones fighting it.
Yep. Well, I think it's also interesting that the Republicans realize how slippery of a slope they're on in Indiana, and I think it might have something to do with us. And they finally passed constitutional carry in the state, which is fantastic. But I'm wondering if there's an ulterior motive on there, and if they're going to pull the rug out from underneath of us after the election's over in November.
What, Republicans have ulterior motives? Surely you jest.
Well, I see that book that you're reading in your picture there, Morgan. I'm sure that you're reading up on the subject a little bit.
Curses, you found out.
Any book by Tricky Dick has got to have some sort of ulterior motive and planning from the Republican Party and within it. So learn those secrets so that when we become a power party, you know, we can start enacting some of that stuff too. I think that's a really healthy way to get things done for sure.
Well, I'll work on my impressions of Nixon. Well, I'm not a crook.
Anybody else see the picture of me sitting at the desk in the Oval Office at that wax museum with my "We Are Libertarian" shirt on and my honk if you love freedom hat? I was pretty excited about that. I also got to meet a wax version of Neil Patrick Harris, which was pretty cool. And I stood next to Martin Luther King, so that you know, it was an all around good experience. And then I found out that the 4 hours after I left that park is when that kid fell off of that drop zone ride in Orlando. I was there 4 hours before that happened, and they were running it with nobody on it at that point. So I'm assuming that they were doing some sort of safety testing on it at the time, and it was raining. So I don't know why anybody would be, you know, willing to jump up on there, but I mean, that's a tragedy. But it was weird that I was so close to it. But yeah, I'll shut up now.
Hey, for those who don't know, by the way, we have several candidates scheduled for interviews coming up with Indiana Normal. So go check out their website, see who all they've got scheduled. I know James is one of them. We've got Darren Kenzer, who's running for sheriff, is going to be interviewed by them. I think, is it Brown? I think is scheduled on there. There's several, so make sure you check that out. Let your people know. Hop into those interviews if you can. Show your support.
Anyway, you could forward a contact link to me, because I've got a candidate or two that would probably be interested in hopping into that.
Has he asked for the candidate asked for an endorsement yet from Indiana Normal?
I don't know. He definitely should.
If you send me a message, I can forward the endorsement application. Will Henry has been, he's on the board of Indiana Normal. He's been backing all the endorsements and talking up our candidates and getting them these opportunities. So just that I'll send you the link as soon as I get home, and then you can forward it to him and have him fill it out, and that way he or she can be included in future things like that.
Well, that's cool that Will's on the board. I was planning on reaching out to somebody I went to high school with that was on the board previously. I don't know if he still is or not, but that's cool that we've got a contact already in the LP for that. So awesome. I will definitely be waiting for that.
I just forwarded you the link that Will had sent us.
Oh, well, thank you, Danny.
Get her done.
That is just excellent. I just came back in to hear the last little bit of what Liz was saying. Yeah, we should have every candidate in the state because I think that's an excellent issue. And if we can get
definitely.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I could get the link also.
If you'd send me a copy of that too, that would be great. Thanks.
Yeah, Danny, if you could just put it in the chat. And if anybody does the application, if you want to personally message Will just to let him know that you put it in, he can, definitely be ready to go ahead, Will.
Yeah, what I would, and just like I did for James too, verbally, make that appeal for everyone at the meetings to get those endorsements rolling too. And mainly, as long as you support cannabis legalization in any form, the state organization will endorse. It's just an application that they ask that you fill out and just the process, and then we can get you on the podcast and get that candidate in front of thousands of people throughout the state.
This is great, Will. This is fantastic. And Liz, this is a really good and group here. Group idea. I'm all for
And
this.
thank you,
So
Will,
glad
for
I
your
heard
work
it.
on your end on that. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to do everything I can for everybody in the party to make sure that we have an opportunity, just like the other two parties with the organization, to get that endorsement. Because last year we changed the organization to a C4. That gave us political, motivations and ability in the organization to really endorse candidates and get them, or even put money towards candidate in some cases if we can gain enough money over time. But we're around the same, structure and setup right now as the LPIN too, but our reach is unbelievable throughout the state because we have so many followers, and whenever candidates come on that live feed or the podcast, that stuff gets shared like thousands of times, depending on the candidate, and depending on how many times we as an organization or campaigns can share that too. The reach is phenomenal on those.
Thanks, Will.
Okay, everybody, it is 12:20. We are back in session. So if everybody can turn the cameras on, let us know that you're back here. Gotcha.
Evan, Bill Rock is joining. If we could verify who he is.
I have no idea who Bill Rock is.
So
it's connecting via audio.
Bill, if you could turn your camera on and introduce yourself.
I don't think he can hear you yet because he is still connecting to audio.
Okay.
A journey.
Which one? Oh, okay. Morgan.
Chuck, if you can keep an eye on Bill Rock.
Yeah.
and When his audio is connected, if his audio isn't connected soon, please go ahead and boot him from the meeting.
Okay.
Does anybody know who Bill Rock is? Nope.
There he is. There's a picture.
Where? I don't see him now.
He's got his camera on.
Oh, it's Greg Hirsch.
Yes,
we were about to boot you. We were like, who's this Bill Rock guy?
That's his new rock star name. Started a band, Greg.
Yeah, awesome name there.
Welcome back, Mr. Hirsch.
Well, okay, it should have my regular name unless.
Bill Rock.
Interpretive dance, Steve's name.
I put in Bill Rock in Facebook and it brought up Bill Levin.
Karaoke, he rocked.
All right, so we'll get started now that we know who Mr. Rock is. This is the, if you can give me a thumbs up or tell me when you guys can see my screen.
It's there.
Okay, perfect. Want to go over these items. So convention revenue, starting up here at the top, even though this is weird because we don't have the space for everything up here. So convention ad revenue was $1,500. We sold 3 $500 ads for the convention brochure. The $2,500 here, that was sponsorships. That was Mr. Rutherford from Thrasher, Bushman and Vogel sponsoring. The 3,620 was the contributions that we received through various things, the one-off donations and the auction items, things like that. Convention ticket revenue. Our total ticket revenue was $15,524 in ticket sales. Our convention table revenue was $1,350 at $150 a pop. So, so our total convention revenue was $24,494. Our 1994 Society membership for the last 3 months, this is where we've been at. $2,059 in January, basically $2,200 in February, and as of this morning, because I did update this morning, we're at 2,100 so far this morning. With we get a lot of contributions at the end of the month, the last couple of days of the month. So my goal is by next month to get us to 2,250, to have that right around that bubble for a little bit, get us up to 2,500, 3,000, and ultimately our goal before the end of December is to get to 5,000. I think we can do that with the CRM. We were at between basically 1,000 to 1,500 in 94 Society memberships prior to the CRM. Annual memberships. This is what we've received, $1,000 in annual memberships in January, $527 in February, $352 so far this month. I do believe that will drop down to about 250 for the next couple of months and then start to spring back up during both the election season and our typical push for membership drive, which is basically in September. So September through December, I anticipate us bringing in about $1,000 each of those months for membership. Triple member, like I said in my report earlier, we have about 199 current triple members. Should be around 210, 214 with the current renewals that we're waiting on. But this is how much we brought in triple member, and this is the total. So this is the full $60 for each of these 3 months. My goal is for us to add 10 every month. I think that's a very reasonable goal. That does increase what we were doing. But so I think if we can add 10 each month from across the state, I think we'll be in a good, healthy position. These are actual numbers right here. We did receive, now these weren't necessarily all people who did a $500 click the button to do the lifetime membership. Some of these were people who just donated $500 and wanted it to count towards their lifetime membership, such as like we had a couple of people who did at the, like Chuck Hagerman did, his wife Laura Hagerman donated $500 towards the printing fund, but that would count towards her. You're wearing a headset, she can't hear you. That counts towards her lifetime. We've been averaging about one a month for the last year, on average. Some months we don't get any, some months we get 2 or 3. But so we've been averaging about one a month. So I just, drew that out to be about one per month. So our total membership, we should be sitting at about 62,616 for the year for 2022 is the estimated. Sales are our, voter data deals that we do. I'm only putting in the ones that we know for sure and the ones that have already happened. I don't want to speculate and put, another $10,000 in revenue until I get those checks in hand. But so this is, we've already received these as of yesterday. We're 15,000 on those. So that's good. Like I said, I do think we have another 10 coming in before the end of April. But I don't want to put that in there until I know for sure. Until we have contracts in hand from them and we know the checks in the mail, I don't want to add that to our general fund. High dollar donations. I did not include the 12,000 that we got from Barbara Borland because that money is supposed to go out to the people who won those awards. However, some of that money will be coming back to the general fund. I'm donating mine back. I think Mark Rutherford is, Sam Goldstein is, Rex Bell is. There are a couple other people who were winners of the Barbara Borland Award who will probably be donating their check back. Those checks are going to go out this week, next week. Not Monday, but sometime next week before the end of the week.
For real this week or Evan last week?
For real this week, Mr. Schulteis.
Are you handling sending those out, or is that something you need me to do?
I'll take care of doing it because I've got a letter that I drafted. I'm sorry?
There are people who have asked for it, so I don't want to double
pay. I know Christy Avery.
No, another Chris sounding name.
Chris Spangle?
Yes, he wants his money.
Screw that guy. Well, I can't say that. He came to the convention, so all right, fine. We're going to take care of those this coming week. Before next weekend, they'll have all gone out. But I've got letters drafted for each of them too. But so I'll keep on my current trend of about $5,000 a month in additional contributions. Districts would really like for us starting next month for each district to hit their goal of $100 in a new contribution each month. If we can do that, if all 9 districts can get $100 in contributions to the state party over what we're currently doing, that brings $8,100 to the state party. That would be a huge benefit. $100 from each district in new contributions we should be able to hit that, I think. Our advertising and marketing budget, I'd like for this to increase for the September, October area and a little bit that first week in November and then to go back down. That's for, candidate support We've got in the convention expenses right here, which was about 19,000. Our $5,000 to purchase the voter list. Printed materials, $3,500 next month, which includes the $2,500 for the new World's Smallest Political Quiz signs and cards, which we raised the $2,500 from that at the convention. With a very special thank you to Mr. Darren Kinzer, who kicked that off with a contribution for $500 towards that effort. And then we had Anna Elliott, who also gave $500. We had Laura Hagerman, who gave $500. And then there were a couple other people, one of them being Annie Wilkes, I believe. So that was great. Thank you for that. Again, adding another towards September, another $3,500 for printed materials for campaign literature or literature to support campaigns, brochures about what it is to be a libertarian, things like that. I did work with National to get the design files for the rack cards so that we can brand them to local issues, state of Indiana issues and not national issues, and also put our branding on them. And then we can also make them available for the county parties that have the budget to brand their own stuff. We can help provide that to them. I did put in here a request to increase the chairs, to double the chairs account. That way I can respond quickly if something needs to happen for a candidate. But I'm also asking for an increase of doubling for the district allotments. I would like districts to be able to have $500 instead of $250. That way you guys can do stuff locally and it's already covered. You need like the $100 to get something for a cookout, or you need to get something printed. We can, we have that in there already. I do want these to go back down, or I would encourage whoever the next chairman is next year, or after the next year's convention, to lower these back down to their thresholds for, maybe not completely lowered because it's still an election year. It's just really hyper local, but it doesn't need to be at that level in non-statewide election years. Political director, keeping his budget of $2,500. This also giving him the ability to do things for candidates and county parties, probably less likely events, but more likely, getting printed materials for people, things like that, possibly sponsoring events, paying the entry fee into something if need be. But we've had that as the political director's budget for quite some time now, but I'm keeping it where it is. I just fully anticipate Mr. Galt actually using it. Let's see. We don't have payroll. I would really love for us to have a payroll expense by hiring staff, but we don't have that yet. I'd really like to have to put numbers in here at some point. The things that have changed from the previous budget, and that's basically what I'm talking about in this meeting, is the things that we're changing, increasing or decreasing. Actually putting the line item for the phone bill, the line item for the plannable, which is the social media calendar system that we have, so that we can get people to create social media posts for us that then have to be approved by, right now it's either me or Christy Avery. And that way we're not turning over our social media accounts to somebody. They go through this app and they create the posts for each of the different social networks and they schedule it. And then either me or Christy has to approve it. If it doesn't get approved, it doesn't get posted, but they can't come in and do damage to our social media platforms, or say something horrible, like we've seen other places. Email marketing. It's actually $59 for our MailChimp, which is what we use to send out our press releases. And I pushed the higher end of $10 for our CRM email system, which we were paying. It was like, I think $20 to $25 a month for that through Spark Post. Now we're with AWS. And so far, I don't even think our bill has hit $1, which is kind of crazy. I think we get so many free, and we've just not been exceeding the free amount. It's after that level, it's 10 cents per thousand. And I don't even think, Mr. Schulteis, go ahead.
We also have Constant Contact. I don't know if that's on there. I can't see on my phone.
It's not on here because I thought we had canceled Constant Contact.
We're still paying for it. We can cancel it if we need to.
I think we need to cancel that because we've only been using MailChimp for the press releases. I think Constant Contact was specifically set up for Wild Apricot. So we should probably export whatever's in Constant Contact and terminate that account.
I'll take care of that.
The call to action, we did this last year. It was a 3-year contract. We're into the 2nd year. We've been using it. It's a good program. It'd be better if more counties and more districts gave us things to talk about. However, I want to try to cancel this contract and try to get out of it, because for about $1,000 less, National has partnered with another program. And that program, they actually built an API to connect to our CRM. This system right now does not directly connect to our CRM. We have to export data from it and import it into our database. So I would like to try to cancel this, but it is a continuing expense that we passed last year. But I would like to try to get out of it and use the new system that's being offered by National, which is about, like I said, it's about $1,000 less.
You need a motion for that?
I don't think so. I think once I can get out of it and get the new system, I think I'd bring that back. But that's why I want to keep it as the budget item, because it is something we've already committed to. If we get our way, then I'll come back and present a motion to both cancel and create the new one, which would then mean we were, saving $1,000. The data analytics company that I don't want to mention the name of, but everybody knows who we work with. This is what our current monthly payments are, which stop in May. And then we have the next year. Basically, we prepaid the first year. The service actually started this month for us because me, Danny, and Chuck have been working with them to kind of rebuild their system so that it actually works better for us and what our needs are as a political party. That's been going exceptionally well. Like the level of data and stuff that we have. And if you guys want to talk about that more, I can bring Danny and Chuck on to talk about that a little bit more. But that is an exceptional tool that we're going to have. Just even if only a handful of our candidates use it, it is worth the $5,000 per year to use it. But it is prepaid starting in May will be our last month of paying, and then we'll have it until March of next year, and then start repaying again at that point. eCanvasser, we're going to be relying heavily on that this year for all of our candidates. The current pricing is $599 a month. National is working on a deal to get a discount for that for any state affiliate that's using it. And it will be retro. Well, not retro in the sense that we get money back, but typically when you sign up for something, you can't then use a coupon code to change your pricing. They're going to allow us to do that. So if we start now, if the coupon code thing happens, we'll be able to get a discount later. But I'm building it in at the full price, going from next month, starting April 1st through November. By the end of November, all data should be exported and calibrated into Civi, into the CRM. So we would cancel at the end of November, potentially. We might discuss keeping it going because new campaigns will be starting in January. So we may not want to take that downtime with it, but that's something we can discuss, I think, in November, if we want to keep using it or not. The CRM, as I was talking to you guys before, and me and Chuck were talking about this, Andy Burns at National dedicates a lot of time to building the tools that Indiana wants, that we request. This candidate access thing, we're the only state that's going to have it. It's being built out by us with Andy. It was approved by the national team, the executive director and the political director and their communications director all signed off on it and gave Andy permission to focus almost exclusively on this for a couple of weeks. I've been working with Andy on this for 6 months. We've been working really closely on it for the last 2 months and very intensely the past couple of weeks. We are the largest users of the CRM. Both we're the active users of the program, but also we eat up more time from the national tech team than all the other states combined. On Tuesdays, Andy dedicates Tuesdays to just working on Indiana stuff. So that's a day where he's just doing stuff for Indiana. But then we also meet on Friday mornings where we have a 2 to 4 hour long call of just me and Andy working on Indiana stuff. And then, like I said, today I got a message from him wanting to talk after our SCC meeting's over because he wants to go over stuff with me on the candidate access. I would like for the state party, I give $500 a year out of my own pocket to the CRM project. Since this is being used by the state party, I would like for us to give $200 a month specifically to the CRM project for national, to be earmarked for the CRM project. I'm going to be encouraging all of the other states that I've been asked to mentor to also contribute to the CRM if they use it. This is still significantly less than what we were paying to Wild Apricot, with 1,000 times the features and functionality and stability over Wild Apricot. The workshop technology, we never really got the, hold on one second, Michael. We never really got the educational platform, the LPIN Academy up off the ground. It is installed. We just didn't have content for it. So we never really pushed it out. National has asked that we continue the program and they will give us the content because they have a lot of content. They just don't have a method of delivering it. So they've asked us if we would use our system to deliver the content, but they'll provide it, which is win-win. That's great. And then our Zoom meetings, that's an annual fee of $149 that we've been doing for a while. Mr. Schulteis.
Speaking of Wild Apricot, we're not fully off of it yet. So there's like a $60 a month charge that should be accounted for.
I thought because we were under 40, we now pay nothing but the 10% fee.
I'd have to check, but last I looked, I think we were still paying a monthly fee, but I'll have to verify that.
We shouldn't be because we're at 38 contacts.
Okay, I'll look into that.
And that is something that I do want to focus us on, is getting the rest of the contributors who are still on Wild Apricot off of Wild Apricot and into Civi. It's been slow going. I did talk to a couple of the larger donors who I didn't want to risk losing. But there's $505 that's a month still being generated through Wild Apricot. And so it's a few people who are giving $50 and even $100 that I didn't want to risk them saying, oh no, just go ahead and cancel it. You know what I mean? But some of them I actually talked to at the convention and then at the McGuire party, and they're good with moving over. We just need to get them moved over. Mr. Nolan.
Couple items. On the triple members, we share some of that revenue with the counties. Is that right?
Yes, $10 per.
Is that an expense that ought to be on the line, or do you take it out of the revenue number?
We have not taken it out of anything, actually, but you're right, we should. But so that equates to, at the current level,
Probably not much money. Probably not much money, but
I mean, it's $10 each. So let's figure at the 199, that's basically $2,000.
yeah. The other, the second item that are you ready for me to go on the second item, or you want to dump this in? 2 years ago, I think we gave money to our gubernatorial candidate. Should we have a line item in here for candidate support? I would think we might want to throw some money towards our SCC candidate, at least.
You mean our U.S. Senate candidate, or the
Secretary of State, at least?
Secretary of State. Okay.
Senate might be desirable also, but I'm just wondering whether that's a line item we might want to pop in there.
If I can make a suggestion on that, Mr. Nolan, instead of committing that from current revenue, I plan on hitting fundraising pretty hard the next 3 months, specifically to do two things. One, to give money directly to both the SOS and US Senate candidate, but also those same donors to donate to the state party, so that we can, our contribution caps to those candidates are much higher than what an individual could give. And also there are things that we might be able to do for the candidates, or there might be things that we can do to support candidates that the candidates might not have been able to do on their own. And so essentially what I'm getting at is I'd rather not put it in a line item and actually just have the SCC vote on when we raise money for those specific things, to say, hey, let's support this candidate. Let's do X, Y, Z. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you could put a revenue thing on what we hope to get for candidates, and then have a line item for supported candidates. But you think it'll be a wash? I suppose that'll be all right. But it's just
I'm definitely committed.
Expected expense that I'm expecting that the SCC will approve. That, you know, I would think it's a big number that we might want to put it in the budget, maybe on revenue and on the expense side. But I can live with it not being in there altogether if that's what the rest of the SCC wants to do.
And like I said, my feeling is especially for a lot of the projects, like I raised the money for the different projects before we even presented it. And that's kind of how I want to approach I want to know we have it before I commit to spending it, essentially. So I'd like
the money will have to go to it. Is that how you're going to raise the money then?
Yes, it will. We will earmark it for support for the SOS and U.S. Senate candidates and also state ledge candidates. But that's my goal, is I'm trying to hit a series of funding from specific donors to say, we want you to fund them directly, but then we want you to come back here and fund us so that we can support them as well. And I think that will be successful, but I also don't know what the number is going to be. So I don't want to, because I would rather, if I'm talking to somebody and they're going to give $10,000 to support the SOS candidate, I'd rather they give the whole 10 grand to the SOS candidate, as opposed to splitting it 5 to us and 5 to him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
But if I have somebody that's going to give $100,000 total, I'd like to split that up in a couple of places. give directly to the candidates, but then also give to us so that we can do things for the candidates. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can live with it either way. Like I said, it's just a big expense. I anticipate that the candidates are going to come to us for requests, and we're not showing anything in there. And it's usually a budget item that you might want to know that's going to happen to you. And it might be wise to set up a goal on the revenue side to offset that. So they're offsetting penalties, I think, as you're envisioning it. So I guess I could live with it, not those line items not being on there, if that's what the pleasure of the rest of the SCC wants also.
Does anybody have any comment on that or position on it? Please raise your hand. Anyone? Mr. Hagerman, go ahead.
I do kind of agree that if we know that we have certain things that we're going to do, even if the goal is to fundraise that amount, I think it would be nice to have it in the budget. But I agree that it doesn't necessarily need to be based on how you plan on doing it. But it would be nice to kind of see those if we already knew, here are the 3 things that I plan on doing.
I mean, the one other downside that I see to it is if we put in here, you know, $10,000 for candidate support, and then one of the candidates asks for 10 grand, and then we don't have anything left. That was our budget. But also it makes it easy for the candidates to come and ask us for it because it's in our budget. I'd like the candidates to fundraise for themselves, but I'd also like Mr. Siniak's campaign. His finance director's already reached out to me for me to help them fundraise. That is a better use, in my opinion, is, you know, let me help you fundraise. Let me help you get that money on your own. But I'm open to it. If I would put it down here in office and general administrative expenditures. Does that seem fair? It's just because it's easier for me to put it in that spot, like above one of these. Because we don't really have that area. And I would consider it general administrative, maybe.
Yeah, it seems fine.
Okay. Do you have a number in mind, Mr. Nolan? Okay. Well, would you like to make a motion to amend the proposed budget for candidate support and come up with a dollar amount? Just an overall dollar amount, and then I'll break it down by month.
All right. Yeah, I make a motion that we add a line item for candidate support in the amount of $12,000.
Okay.
And to that, also a line item in the revenue showing $12,000 for candidate support.
I'll second that motion.
The motion has been, it was moved by Mr. Nolan to add a line item expenditure of $12,000 for candidate support and a line item for candidate support revenue for $12,000 each. The motion was made by Mr. Nolan. It was seconded by Mr. Lomax. Are you ready, Alyssa? Mr. Nolan, do you object to a voice vote to start?
I would prefer it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those
Aye.
opposed say nay.
Nay. Nay.
Nay.
Okay, the ayes have it. So give me 1 minute to recalibrate this form. I'm going to put it in here, Mr. Nolan, as $1,000 a month going across. That's just easier to reach that goal. There.
About 2,000 for the next 6 months.
Where would you have me put it though? Or wait, you're saying for
Instead of 1,000, we're not going to spend $1,000 in November and December.
the way we've kind of approached that is just like with our allocations. It's not really 250 a month. It's we mostly look at what the annual total is.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm trying to figure out where to put this in revenue. Mr. Schulteis, can you help me find the right spot here? Mr. Nolan, would you object to me removing gaming revenue and just put that in as candidate support revenue?
I would not object at all.
Okay. That is what I'm going to do. And then I will make that $1,000. Oops. Okay. Are there any other amendments or suggestions to the budget? Mr. Schulteis?
Last budget season, we passed a one-time up to $1,000 for website hosting for affiliates. I believe some of our affiliates were not happy that their website design portion was not completed. So is that still a one-time thing, or is that something we're going to include for this budget season?
I think there was only one that actually did it, right? There
are several counties that took part of it, but
no, there was only one county that's actually went through the design process. You're talking about Kosciuszko.
right. There's others that just have default templates because they weren't aware how to go through.
And I'm sorry, and Kosciuszko also is having difficulties still with the design.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah, I think maybe we probably should keep that going. Can we add that into change domain name registration to websites? Would that work?
Fine with me.
Sure. I would recommend you simply call it affiliate support, and then it can be used for more than websites if necessary.
Yeah. Because now we'd be creating a whole other budgetary thing so no Danny. And what was that? It was $1,000, Michael?
Yes.
Is there any objection to continuing that? Okay, hearing none. Any other additions? Any other comments, questions? Okay, Mr. Nolan, come back. Alyssa, if you want to go ahead and get the roll ready. Are you frozen? No, you're not. Okay, you look frozen. Let's go ahead and go through the roll, and then we'll come back to Mr. Nolan, but I know he's going to want to vote on this. So whenever you're ready, is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended, or the budget as amended for 2022?
So moved.
Moved by Lucy, seconded by, was that Mr. Hirsch?
Yes.
Okay, moved by Lucy, seconded by Mr. Hirsch. Whenever you're ready, Alyssa, go ahead and call the roll. Come back to me last.
All right. Sorry, my if I cut out, please apologize. I'm having all sorts of issues with the internet still. So Lucy Britton made the motion, correct? And Greg Hirsch seconded it.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm still getting cut out, so I apologize. Okay, and I'm skipping Evan for now.
I don't know if you can hear us, Alyssa, but you're frozen.
Okay, Vice Chair Lucy.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Did I didn't hear Lucy. Did she say yes?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I say yes. Treasurer Michael.
Yes.
Communications Director Michelle.
Yes.
Tech Director Chuck.
Yes.
Field Director Morgan.
Yes.
Political Director Chris.
Yes.
District 1 is absent. District 2, Elizabeth.
Yes.
District 3, Christy.
Yes.
District 4, Danny as proxy.
Yes.
District 5, Greg Nolan.
Yes, thanks, Evan, for putting this together. Nice job.
Thank you.
District 6, Luke.
Yes.
District 7, Kent.
Yes.
District 8, Eddie as proxy.
Yes.
District 9, Greg Hirsch.
Yes.
Back to Evan.
Present.
Okay.
All right. Good job, everybody. The budget is passed. Last two items. We have newsletter. I need your district report for the newsletter, 250 words, preferably. Please get that to me by Friday. If you don't do it, there will be a blank spot, and it will say no report submitted.
Evan,
yes,
is this you gave me an assignment. Is this my district, or do I have two assignments?
You have two assignments.
Yay. Okay, thank you.
Does this count the one that's already been submitted? Like,
because
those supposed to happen in January?
Yeah, so that didn't happen. These are happening. So we need an updated one. But we do have all of the other content ready to go. The only thing that needs to be updated is the district reports. But everything else has been completed and updated, and good to go. So, yeah,
What was the deadline again?
Friday. You can do 250 words, Mr. Nolan, between now and Friday. You can do it. Or you're muted. I
I
didn't
don't
hear
even
you.
have a computer with me to type anything up.
You're right there.
Might I
with the computer
suggest just
now.
repeating
son.
taxation is theft over and over and over again for 250 words?
That seems legit.
You might ask one of your other chairs in your county if they would be interested in putting it together by Friday.
All right.
Granted, if you do that, they may just write about their county for 250 words. That's what I would do. That is going to go out. Once we get those, they'll be printed the following day. And then that Monday, we'll be sending them out with who I have not mentioned yet in this meeting, but I was waiting to get to the newsletter so that I could talk about it. Christian Alexander from Morgan County, who's not only an amazing candidate down there and working on Mr. Siniak's campaign, but she also comes up here to my house once a week and helps me do stuff. She also, she has CRM access, and I gave her one of my laptops so that she now has the ability to work from home to do some of the things. Like she was helping me do the national credentialing of our delegates for national so that I didn't have to. So just a shout out to Kristen Alexander for helping me legitimately clear my whiteboard. Like legitimately, there's like 15 things on it now. And Kosciuszko website is at the very top, just saying.
Duly noted. Also, the tents are already done, right? So we can get those maybe at the next
At the
in-person.
April meeting, I've already made arrangements to have my sister drive me there. I am
Okay.
going to ask everybody to be a few minutes early to that so that you can come out to her vehicle and grab your tent and go put it in your own vehicle. Because she will not be staying. And once they're delivered, they're gone. And I'm not going to unload them and put them in the antelope hallway and then end up being stuck with somebody's tent. So if you're not there by the time she drives away, you're screwed. Mr. Schulteis.
I do have a minivan that's fairly empty or will be, so if we do have people who'll be late, I could temporarily store them.
Don't help people. Personal responsibility, Mr. Schulteis.
Okay, I withdraw that information.
If anybody would like to store them at my barn, I have a very large pole barn on the back of my property that we use for storage. So if you do not have anywhere to put them, I am willing to store them for you. And I live right off of I-70 in Greenfield, so.
Mr. Lomax, I appreciate your willingness to help, but the whole point is for these guys to take their tent back to their district and to make it available for their county and their candidates. It does no good sitting in your
I'm
barn.
not saying I'm going to take them for them to my house. I'm saying that if they would like to drop them off in between usages, they can drop them off at my house and I will store them.
Okay.
And if each district has their calendars set for the whole year, then they can divvy up the tent better. So
2020, any other questions about the newsletter? Okay, good. No, because none of that last shit was about the newsletter. 2023 convention. We had authorized last year for the 2023 location and contract at the forum. And I just wanted to make sure that that was still, that was still okay. That authorization still stood. Nobody was wanting to pull out of that, correct? Because I didn't sign it last year. I was authorized to sign it. We didn't sign the second year. We only signed the first year, but they're ready to present the first year again. Or not present the first year, present it again. It's exactly the same as it was that they gave to us last year.
I'm hoping there's no dissension because they were so easy to work with.
Is there any objection to that? Okay, cool. Then I will go ahead and take care of that this week. That's it. That's our meeting. I would like, we're going to do announcements, and then the last thing, I would like just the SCC members, that's district rep, directors, and officers, to stay on for a minute after the meeting is over for a private conversation. It's not executive session. It's not an action being taken by the state party, but there's some information I'd like to give to you guys privately.
Do proxy members have to stay on for that?
You can. That way you can communicate it with your district rep.
Okay.
Ms. Avery.
I just wanted to say, I think Greg and I both wanted to actually have an active convention committee this year, because last year it didn't seem like it was super active. So if we could do that, that would be much appreciated.
Okay.
Well, who wants to take lead in scheduling that? Let's do it.
The deal is I know that the beginning of all of that, Lucy was sending out all the information, and she was including a lot of people on those emails, and there wasn't a lot of response. So that's what happened. So I need to one, find my notes again to remember. I know Mr. Nolan, Miss Avery.
I'm on it.
And Lucy, you're on
And
it?
Lucy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you guys can meet up and do that and figure times you'd like to, if you want to have meetings, when you want to have meetings, set up your email threads. But you know, yep. Anything else about the 2023 convention before we move on to announcements?
Are we going to address Chuck Poland's issues with support in this next contract? That the people just basically gave him the microphones and took off? And
yeah, so I'm actually talking to the forum about that, because it's part of their invoice is the AV company, so it's through the forum contract, and I'm actually discussing it with them right now, because that was part of the deal, was an on-site tech person through the duration of the convention, all day Saturday. And he was there in the morning, left, came back, I think Chuck said during the business meeting, and then left again and was gone. He put in like a total of like 2.5 hours, but we were paying for him to be there all day. So that is being addressed. And in the final AV contract, if that's not being reimbursed, then I'm going to demand that it be removed from the contract.
Okay.
Because there's absolutely no point in them charging us that if he's not going to be there. And quite honestly, as Chuck said, there was very little point for him even being there. Which, you know, I don't blame him. Like, you know, leave if you're there's nothing there for you to do. But
we had problems.
Bill us for it. Don't bill us for it. You know, like that's not okay. I don't, you know, if you don't have something to do, sit in the chair and play Candy Crush or whatever games people play until you're needed. But there were times that he was needed and he wasn't there. And Chuck told me that after the convention. So yes, that is an issue that is being addressed.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, moving on to announcements. Does anybody have an announcement that they would like to make? I do believe Mr. Will Henry would like to say something.
Yes, thank you, Evan. I'd like to talk about an organization that's getting off the ground, Liberty Offense. It's an organization designed to take proactive approach to target and address issues in all three branches of the government and the fourth estate. So to really call out issues that are happening within the state government, not only in the legislative branch, but also the executive branch and the judicial branches too. And even in the judicial administrative portions, a lot of times we're seeing CPS issues and things like that with THC and the judicial branch. You know, they're attacking people on probation for consuming THCs that are legally, they're allowed to consume here in the state by law at any age over the counter. But these judicial administrations are requiring that people stay away from THCs and things like that. That's just one example. But we can receive documents and work with individuals and approach law enforcement and investigators and reporters to ensure that the government agencies that we approach follow through with the proper investigations. We'll work with organizations and agencies and individuals to participate and share public campaigns for all types of community action activities. That'd be phone calls and letter campaigns, and even showing up at offices too to do stand-ins and things like that, and taking an active approach toward these things, our constitutional rights and these things that are being trampled upon. We'll act in a way that protects individuals and documents and information as a type of surety bond. If you're familiar with how a surety bond works, it makes sure that folks are held accountable to do the proper things with that money. But this would be with information and documents and individuals. And we're beginning to make literature to affect community and public action campaigns for jury nullification, cannabis law reform, medical freedom for the vaccines and alternative medicines, business freedoms. We've been in contact with a number of organizations like You Are the Power Pack, Indiana Normal, of course, which I'm a board member, National Normal. I want to be involved with this organization too. I've been in talks with Dan Berman and Legalize Happiness PAC and some of these other folks who are similarly minded in some of these community action activities. You can go to our website, libertyoffense.org, read a little bit there. It's just, we'll be developing that page as time goes on. And there's rumors of a rally happening April 28th and at the Morgan County Courthouse that more information will be put out on that soon throughout, organizations and things like that. But I encourage everyone to visit visit the website, like the Facebook page and some of the other social media stuff that's coming together, and just pay attention and watch for some of these community activities.
I almost called you Liz. Thank you, Mr. Henry. I actually already saw the first mock-ups for the jury nullification handouts, and they're really good. They're super clean, really easy to understand. It's a good idea. It's my understanding is it's kind of like advocacy for some of these things, but then also like a WikiLeaks for Indiana. So I think that's pretty cool. Mr. Nolan. You're muted. You're still muted.
So that the website is Liberty Offense.
Yes, libertyoffense.org. Even if you go to Liberty,
I'm sorry,
it'll bounce to .org.
.org, but it's Liberty Offense is what I'm searching for.
Yes.
Okay. The second part of my thing, maybe it might be helpful. We pay for the call to action thing. We might be able to help leverage, some of your events that are, contacts, to congressman or whoever you're wanting to target for a judge or whatever, to utilize that call to action software that we've got that help bring more of the party to helping, if that's an idea that would be acceptable to the SCC and to you. I don't know. It's a thought.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be tremendous.
I think we can definitely use that. If you set up as a 501c4, we can definitely partner up, and we just put up on our website in partnership with Liberty Offense, link it up, put some logos, and then what we want people to do, which can be contacting an elected official, or it can be signing a pledge too. That's the other thing, is like we could do a pledge that says, if I'm called for jury duty, I pledge to nullify any illegal or unconstitutional laws.
Yeah, that's great.
You can totally do that. So thanks for that idea, Mr. Nolan. That's a good idea. Any other announcements? Okay, hearing none, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It has been moved by Mr. Rigg. Is it seconded?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Hagerman. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, all those opposed say nay. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Remember, those people who need to stay, please stay. Thank you, everybody watching at home. Have a great day, and we'll see you next month. Which does anybody off the top of their head know when our next SCC meeting is? It's in person at the Antelope Club. It's April
23rd.
April 23rd. Thank you.
And if you could let us know where in the parking lot we need to pick up our tents, that would probably be helpful too.
She'll be
Beforehand.
right by that. She'll park as close to the back door as possible of the Antelope Club. All right. So that is